Hey, you guys. I wanted to let you know that this past week I was on another podcast called Let's Talk TV with Karis. I am going to play her promo in just a second, but I'm also going to post links to her podcast. It used to be called Let's Talk Nashville because she only talked about the TV show Nashville, which I did not watch. But now she's switched it since that show's over. It's just called Let's Talk TV. And I reached out to her, and she wanted to talk about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and New York City. And I was thrilled because that's definitely something that I do want to talk about on here. But John has no interest.
Nope, none whatsoever.
Does not like the Housewives.
No.
At all. And I watch every city, so...
I think on mute it would be kind of entertaining for me.
No.
No?
No, it's still not.
Okay.
It's not really that entertaining for me, but I started it. I'm going to finish it.
Yeah, I think I would get different things out of it.
Yeah. So anyway, we talked for about 45 minutes about New York and Beverly Hills. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed talking to her, and hopefully I will be on Karis's podcast again, or maybe I'll have her on here and we can continue to talk about other things. Her podcast is called Let's Talk TV with Karis Dillon, and here is her promo.
Hey y'all, I'm Karis Dillon, host of Let's Talk TV with Karis, all about the shows I love to watch and I love to talk about. I've been told almost daily since I was born that I'm obsessed with television, and that's really okay with me. It's kind of like a compliment. So if you want to hear what's going on with, let's say, the Real Housewives of New York or Beverly Hills or Dallas that I'm currently watching now, or you're a fan of TV shows like Nashville or Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Office, Seinfeld, this podcast is for you. It's really endless, the kind of shows that I like. So you may listen one week and hear about a show that you've never seen before, and you may listen the next week and hear all about your favorite shows that you watch all the time. So it's really limitless what I'll talk about. Join me each week as I hang out with a different guest and we talk about all of our favorite shows. And we don't really skimp on the opinions at all here. We love to dish on our favorite things about shows and even our least favorite things about shows as well. You don't want to miss it. You can listen to Let's Talk TV with Karis on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. And you can also visit the website for all of the information at letstalk.tv. Thanks so much for listening and have a good day. Bye.
Danny watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Danny and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Watching My Stories.
Yep.
I'm Danny.
I'm John.
And we're back again.
Yes, here we are.
Well,
again,
now I think we can say now it's a staple. I mean, this is our 12th episode. I think we can stop acting like the fact that we're doing it again is a surprise.
I don't know. I still remain shocked that we're doing it. So
I have no response to that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good week. We had to adjust to getting back to work after vacation and all of that.
Some of us more than others.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry.
This is a tough week at the salt mine.
I work from home, so my life is much simpler than John's is. So.
Yeah, I go to an office with,
Lots and lots of people.
a bunch of monkeys.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Is that an insult to monkeys?
No. That's an old commercial. I think it's for Monster.
Yeah.
And the guy's like,
Yeah.
I work with a bunch of monkeys, and these literally
they're actual monkeys. Yeah, I think they were chimpanzees.
Apologize
So
to
you're
monkeys
wrong.
everywhere, or chimpanzees for calling them monkeys.
Yes, he's one of the few people that hangs on to commercials. And it might be because of the whole ADD thing, but he's quoting commercials left and right. Or, as soon as the commercials come on, if we're watching something live, I check out. And I get on my phone or whatever, and he'll be laughing, or he'll be like, "Did you see that? Did you do it?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't pay attention to commercials," but he loves them. So
it's purely random. I
Yes.
I hang on to the weird ones, and from a long time ago and stuff like that. And I remember people's names, for God's sake. Like the other night we were watching Jeopardy, because we're old. And one of the things was a 80s phrase or tagline or something.
Yeah.
And it was, "Where's the beef?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's Clara Peller."
Yeah. Who knows that? Who knows the "Where's the beef" lady?
And she looked at me like,
Nobody
you're just
knows that.
So ridiculous.
That's the most, he does. He'll we'll be watching anything, commercials or TV or whatever, and he'll name the random obscure actor in the background, and for some reason he knows it. It's just but if you ask him a normal, top 10 A-list actor,
she'll be describing a movie to me and I'll be like, "Oh, that guy," and Tom Cruise or
Oh, well, how about literally 5 minutes ago I was like, "Oh, have you seen Janelle Monáe's video Pink?"
Yeah.
And I said, "You like her, right?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I said, "From Hidden Figures." And he goes, "Oh, yeah. And he goes, "So she's a singer too?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, Janelle Monáe, poor thing." But yes.
Turns out she was a singer before she was an actress.
Yeah.
Who knew?
The world.
Who
the
knew?
world knew.
Okay.
And if I played you some of her songs, you would know them. You probably just had no clue it was her.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's not the stuff I retain.
It's not Clara Peller or whatever.
Nope.
Where's the beef woman?
Yeah.
That's infamy.
Janelle Monáe is no Clara Peller.
Oh no. I can't.
Hey, I got an idea.
Oh.
Let's do the show.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I saw this week The Spy Who Dumped Me. Mm-hmm. The new movie with Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis.
and that's from the Million Ways to Die in the West.
Yes.
Yeah. When they make fun of Mila Kunis' voice.
Oh, it's not
her name.
No, they hold her in such high esteem. Her name is synonymous for fine.
So it's with Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon and Justin Theroux. And it was funny because when I told my boss I was going to see this, she goes, "Oh, you know who else is in this?" And I said those three people. And she goes, "The guy from Outlander, Sam, whatever." And I was like, okay. I tried that show. People love it. And I think my sister was loving it. So she's like, "You got to watch it." So I got to the third episode by pure just forcing myself, like, okay, this has to get better. Mm-hmm. And it didn't for me. And so I couldn't. So I didn't even. So this guy is in this movie. Like, he is one of the main guys. I didn't recognize him at all from that show. But I really liked him in this. But if people are going to watch him because of Outlander, I can't help you. I don't have any sort of insight into that.
See, that's how it is for me most times. There's this guy from this show that you don't know, and that's most of my life.
Okay.
The end.
Yes. And so the movie is about Mila Kunis was playing, and her name is Audrey in the movie. I remembered that off the top of my head. And Kate McKinnon's name is Morgan with the last name Freeman.
Perfect.
Yeah, she says she has no problem getting reservations at restaurants. Audrey was dating Drew, who is Justin Theroux. He breaks up with her by text, just saying it's over, done, and she's kind of devastated. It's her 30th birthday, and she's not hearing back from him. You know, she's trying to find out what happened. And then some guys show up. So the Outlander guy shows up, and Hassan Minaj from Daily Show.
Oh, okay.
And they put her into a van. They say he was a spy with the CIA, and we need the stuff from you. We need to know where he is, all this stuff. Uh-huh. So anyway, then it becomes apparent that he was a spy, and now these two girls are involved because all this stuff, a lot of people start following them, and they have their hands on this, what they call the package that all these people are wanting. Okay. Terrorist organizations, MI6, CIA, all these people want it. They end up going to Europe because that's the last words that Drew said was go to this place in Venice. And then it becomes kind of this international spy action movie.
Okay.
It was complete. So remember when Spy came out with with Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah.
And remember how they were marketing it like she was this bumbling idiot person. And then when you watch the movie, it turned out she kicked ass and she was really smart. And we were kind of like, why did they market it this way, right? Mm-hmm. I'm assuming now that these marketing companies just... they have to make women look stupid in order for people to go watch it or something. That's their assumption, because they kind of did the same thing with this movie. Mm-hmm. We see all these funny things. These girls are running away all the time. And it turns out, I mean, they're not totally spies, but they're actually not stupid women. Like they kind of like, they're like, oh, let's destroy our phones. They can track us with the phones. They, there are things like that kind of pop up, that these girls aren't stupid, and they get through all of this stuff, and they get through it on their own, really, and kind of being somewhat smart and figuring things out as it's going and learning who to trust and who not to trust.
Right.
So it was the only scene that I had a problem with. And I think I take this, it bothered me as far as females go and making them look stupid, was they were running and they wanted to like take a car, and there were these old people getting into a car, and they're like, get out of the way, we're taking your car, sorry, and they're very nice about it. And they get in and it's a stick, and they're both like looking at each other like, can you drive a stick? No, can you drive a stick? And it's a very funny scene where she's trying, and it's like rolling at 2 miles an hour, and they're screaming and it's a funny scene, but it made me angry, I guess, as a woman who can drive a stick, that I feel like it is one of those jokes that always happens where it's like, oh, women can't drive sticks. Like, I don't know why. It was one scene that stuck out in this movie where it was like, these women are capable.
Yeah.
It was this one scene of, I don't know. It just didn't, it didn't need to be there. The other good news about this is it was directed and written by a woman. Mm-hmm. And the action, I'm serious. This is an action comedy movie.
Okay.
The action is insane. And when I looked up, so the director's name is Susanna Fogel. And when I looked her up to see what else she had done, she's done nothing like this. Like some TV shows, some like CW shows, freeform shows. And
not a lot of action there.
Yeah, like nothing. And I'm shocked because there was some serious action in this. Like I was like wincing and like, crazy. Like throughout the whole thing, car chases, hand-to-hand combat, gunfire, all this sort of stuff. And then it's a woman doing it, which is fantastic.
Right.
But because it was a woman, it was also, getting the women and getting like their jokes. And it's a lot about friendship. It's a lot about these two women who are best friends and have been. There's a great sort of, you've seen it in the trailer where they're tied up and the skinny girl's like about to torture them and she had a sex dream about a minion, that whole thing, which is very funny. But the point is they're trying to relate to this woman who's like torturing them, and they're like, we'll tell you anything, we promise, we're best friends, we know everything. And so they start like throwing out all these tidbits that they know about each other, and the woman she goes, how do you know this about each other? She goes, we're best friends. We tell each other everything. And and the woman starts to get a little like sad because she doesn't have a best friend, So it's like, but it's very sweet that way. And it's very much just having each other's backs, at any cost, really. I mean, they're in this situation and there's no way that either one would leave the other one. It's so. Anyway, it's, my cousin said, oh, I hope we don't see the funniest parts in the trailer because it looks so funny.
Right.
You don't.
Good.
It's great characters. They're developed well. It's funny throughout. I mean, for me, Kate McKinnon can breathe and she cracks me up.
Yeah.
And she just has some of that in this. Like, it's really one of those where she's got the best stuff. And Mila's very funny. And it is one of those too where, where I complain about, like I was complaining about Ant-Man, how the guys are always charming and they get to say all these lines and they're funny and all that stuff. And the women are always kind of hard up. It's the opposite in this, where the dude from Outlander, I should look up his name. It's like Sam Yeager or something like that.
Just call him Sam.
I think that's his name. I could be way off.
For purposes of this story, he's Sam.
Yeah, he was Sebastian in the movie.
Oh, okay.
He was the MI6 CIA guy, so he was a little bit more of the staunchy, like, I have to do my job thing. And they were the ones who got to be a little bit more free. But I also loved it because his boss is Gillian X-Files, Anderson.
Oh, okay.
And it's a great scene, and you've probably seen that in the trailers too, where she walks in and Kate McKinnon realizes she's the boss, and she flips. She's like, whoa, you're the boss. You've got all this power, and you haven't wasted 1 ounce of femininity, and you're gorgeous, and you're the Beyonce of the government. And she's just going off about how fantastic this woman is, and why are we wasting our time with these men when you're the one we should be talking to? Right. And, and it's just so, again, lifting up that there's this woman in this power, thing. So anyway, it was very enjoyable. It's something that I will watch over and over again for sure. I mean, because it's fun and it's exciting, and there is a story to it. I mean, you kind of see what's coming. You kind of figure out what's going to happen, but you do that with most of these types of movies. Like, there's not a lot of mystery to it. So go ahead.
Well, so what was your, without spoiling anything, did you have a favorite scene or something that struck you as particularly a good part?
That's tough. I've probably...
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's okay. Yeah, I probably need to see it a few more times to actually figure out which would be my favorite scene.
Gotcha.
But it's all good, because when the two of them are together, it really is fun.
Right.
And they're together most of it. So yeah. So I'm giving it 4.25 stars.
4.25.
I'm pretending like we're on Star Search.
Okay.
I didn't when I first thought 4.5. I was like, oh, I'm not sure, and I'm not really. It's good. It's really good. It just is one of those kind of fun, frivolous movies, though. So it doesn't really deserve a whole bunch. You know what I mean? Like,
why is that?
That's just the way I think.
Oh yeah, okay.
I save those for the
you purist,
the special ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do just want to, again, it's fun. It's very female oriented. It's directed by the female, and that's a good thing. So it's worth supporting.
All right, good.
For sure.
Well, we're glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, I'm excited for you to see it. You'll really enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And as soon as it comes out on HBO or Showtime, I will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or maybe even maybe one rerun.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay.
All right. What else you got? This
week, the new movie that is available to buy, it was Infinity War, or Avengers Infinity War. I just call it Infinity War. So what's interesting was, I saw this opening weekend, but we were not doing this podcast. So I wasn't able to talk about it on here. So last night, though, I literally forced you to watch it.
Yes. It was on, and the rest of the doors in the house were locked, so I really had no choice but to sit and watch it.
Yeah, I bought it on Tuesday. I watched it Tuesday. I think I watched it, like, the first half of it again on Thursday or something, because I'm picking up a lot more things that I missed the first time around. So
okay, well, now having just seen it, I get that. I know what you mean by that.
Yeah. So John's not a super fan of the MCU. That's for sure.
Marvel character universe?
Cinematic universe.
Oh, okay.
You've seen all Iron Mans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You've seen the two Guardians?
Yes. Those I like.
Yes.
And I like the Iron Mans too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you saw most of Civil War. I think.
At different times, yes.
Yeah.
I think I've probably seen most or all of Civil War, but never all straight through.
Right. And then the last Thor, Ragnarok, you loved.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah. But you didn't see the other Thors. You haven't seen the Captain Americas, the Ant-Mans.
No.
Yeah.
And so every Marvel movie I've seen, I've liked.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, the new Spider-Mans are...
Homecoming.
I saw Homecoming.
Yeah, you saw the end of it.
Oh, didn't I see the whole thing?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
You came in. You came in like in the last 45 minutes or something while I was watching it. But
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, that doesn't make
okay.
for good radio or
that's
podcast.
So anyway, so I still wanted him to watch it because this is great. Oh, and you haven't seen Black Panther, which
yeah.
I do own, and I keep trying to get him to watch.
Just can't fit it in the schedule.
Yeah, but you need to,
and I will
because I have a feeling come Oscar time.
I do want to see that, whether it's Oscar time or not. I do want to see it.
Okay. So yeah, so I made him watch it. So now, and you were really into it. And then at the end, oh my goodness, he got so irritated. Like we were done, and you were so irritated. I felt so bad. I was like, I'm sorry. I thought you would like it. He's like, I You know, it was like you couldn't say anything.
Okay, so not to jump right to the end, but the movie is what, 2 hours 20, 2:15,
it's
something
probably
like
over 2.5.
that? Okay, we'll call it 2.5. And for the first 2:20, then I was totally digging it. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
it was at times too much for me. Right, it was sensory overload. There's just too much going on, and there were stretches of 15 or 20 minutes where it's just from one thing to another, and it's just, it's so action packed, and there's just so much going on. It was a lot for me.
Okay,
but I liked it. I did. I stuck with it, and I liked it, and I really liked the way it was going. And then the last 10 minutes, I did not like the ending.
Okay, yeah, and I think part of that is my fault because I should have reminded you that this was part 1 of 2 movies, so that it's cutting off because there is a whole nother movie to come after.
No,
so it's not really an ending.
I know
it's an intermission.
Okay, fine, but okay. I think I now see what the point you're trying to make is, that just because some people disappeared and died in a cloud of ash, they're not necessarily gone.
Right.
How does that work?
I can tell you my entire theory if you would like.
I call shenanigans on that.
Okay, so...
Well, wait a minute. Should we go through the movie first?
Yeah.
And then get to your...
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and, what did you like about it? Were there characters that obviously you aren't as familiar with that you really enjoyed? Did you, which were your favorite parts? Was it always with the Guardians? Was it, so just kind of
go
through all that.
All of that is going to be very difficult to pin down because I just liked all of it.
Yeah.
And part of what I really liked was just the being overwhelmed by all of these characters together.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
That's just, it's like, bam, here's Iron Man, here's Star-Lord, here's, just
right.
one after another. It's like being in a one of those benefit concerts, and they just keep bringing out A-list stars, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, that's the fun of it. Yeah,
and that was a bunch. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that had this many.
There hasn't been
A-list stars in it, and how it had to be 2.5 hours to get everybody some decent screen time, I guess. But I really did enjoy it a lot. I liked it more than I thought I would.
Oh, good.
Really
good.
Because when I first heard that, when you went to it in the theater and you came back and you gave me your story, because we didn't know we were going to be doing this.
Right.
And you told me that, well, everybody's going to hate Chris Pratt. I was like, how can anybody hate Chris Pratt? And now I get it. I understand that was not the best decision ever made in the universe, literally. But, I get it. And I just, top to bottom, I really, really enjoyed it. I maintain I did not like the last 10 minutes.
No one did. Yeah.
Really, regardless of what your theory is, and even though it's only halftime or whatever, however you look at it, I
said intermission, not halftime.
I know.
It's a distinction.
I'm saying halftime.
Oh, okay.
It's, I don't always have to use all of your terms. Come on.
I'm just saying.
I am my own man.
Sports?
Yeah.
No.
That I don't have a lot to say about it because it started out.
You haven't processed entirely.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
And it was just from one thing to, you're bouncing literally from different galaxies, planets to different, places. And it's so constant and so on the edge of, it just has you, there's so much.
Right.
It's just hard to pinpoint anything. So I really can't say what part I liked or who I liked or what I thought was good about it. It was just, and I'll tell you what, this is probably what I liked the most.
Okay.
The visuals, just the sheer stunning visuals, the special effects and that sort of thing. You forget that it's not real.
It's photoreal. Yeah.
It's unbelievable how far we've come with the CGI.
Right, because even if you go back to 10 years ago and watch the first Iron Man, which was incredible and looks incredible, but compared to even what they've been able to do in 10 years with these movies, it really is. Well, it's incredible.
I had to keep reminding myself that Thanos wasn't there. He's not real.
Well, but he looks so much like Josh Brolin that you forget.
You can't not realize it is Josh Brolin. It's obviously Josh Brolin, the voice and the face.
Right, because they did the motion capture. So
right, but he's so much bigger than anything around him that I don't know how the actors. I don't know how it was made. I don't know. I don't even know that I want to see a behind the scenes thing.
Oh, okay.
But,
I was gonna say I can show.
Well,
you
and that might be interesting, but okay. But the fact that he or something like him wasn't really there.
He was there, yeah.
He was there, but he's not 11 feet tall.
Right. They stick something on his head so that the actors know where to look, and they put big gloves on him so that his hands are that big. You know?
Yes, but that's my point. My point is that's got to be really hard for the other actors to really get into those scenes where they're interacting, like Zoe Saldana, right? Mm-hmm. She's showing so much emotion towards the end, and she's looking at things that aren't really there, right? She's interacting with another face that's supposed to be 11 feet off the ground, but it's not really there, right?
For the most part. So I'm just gonna ruin everything and all the magic, but if they're shooting just her, like that speech that she's giving him, he might be on a ladder where she's supposed to be looking so that she can look at his face. I haven't seen those scenes, but if they're truly just filming her, they can manipulate the actor to make it so that she can be eye to eye looking at him and getting a return from his face. It just depends. So it's not like they film both at the same time all the time. So that's all. I ruined it. Anyway.
You've ruined movies for me
I know,
forever.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I really liked it. I would give it 4 stars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was 5 until the end.
So maybe when you see the second one, you can adjust.
Minus 1 star for pissing me off. Yeah.
Okay. I give it 4.5 because I do think it's quality filmmaking and storytelling.
Absolutely.
I mean, the emotions that these people, just in the first 10 minutes when Thor is having to watch everyone around him die, and his emotion, it's like, that thing back in the day of the comic book thing, right? And how stupid it was, or how silly it was, or whatever it was that people used to say. I'm watching this movie that is evoking such emotion, and the acting is so on point. It's truly amazing. And what I loved was the Russo brothers talking about, they really wanted to kind of separate up all these groups to put them in groups that you wouldn't think, right? So putting Iron Man with Doctor Strange, where they're both these egomaniacal people,
alpha males,
was entertaining to watch. And then you stick in Spider-Man, and who is basically like, he looks at Tony Stark as a father figure for sure. And then the Guardians come in, and then you've got 3 there because Star-Lord thinks he's the best thing, so it was really entertaining. But then to think, putting Thor with Rocket and Groot, like, who would, that was such a strange kind of group to put together. But then when Rocket has that kind of heart to heart with him, he's like, now it's time to be captain. And he goes and talks to him. It was just like so sweet and wonderful.
The rabbit.
And, and then coming back to Earth and having Bruce be back with Cap and everyone else. It was interesting, just groups here and there that they kind of threw around. The other thing I love, so the Russo brothers directed this one. They did the last one as well, Civil War. If you buy the digital download, it comes with, there's this great round table of all the directors of the 10 years of these Marvel movies.
Oh, wow.
And so they're all talking about it. And one of the things that I loved was them saying it's tough because, so Jon Favreau's like, I developed Tony Stark and Iron Man, like he wrote those. And James Gunn is like, I wrote and directed, the Guardians, and I put these characters together, and, and all this sort of stuff. But then you have to hand them off, so then the Russo brothers, they're all kind of complimenting them and saying, you did right. Like, you took my Guardians and they were still the Guardians, and you took Black Panther and he's still Black Panther, that's it's such a weird concept because we don't have that, like you don't, if you get a sequel or or a third one or whatever, a different director comes in and maybe there's some weird stuff or whatever. But these characters that really have been around, and we've seen so many movies of them, and we've seen them everywhere, to have, if it was the first Avengers, which was Joss Whedon, getting all of these, even at that point, just putting together Captain America and Iron Man and these people who had these movies and been established, and then getting their voices right. It's such an undertaking.
Oh, yeah.
It's and the fact that us as fans, we don't feel that there's a gap anywhere in these. Like, we don't go, oh, well, he would never say something like that, or he would never do something like that.
Right.
That's really an amazing undertaking that is happening. And this one being the biggest one of all, it's heaven, you know.
Yeah.
Even at the end with Fury, you know, that he goes, mother, you know, right before he disintegrates. It's just like, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. So I gave it 4.5. You gave it 4. So we love the movie. It's great. Obviously, you're either going to see it or you're not. You're either a fan or you're not, you know, and so do what you want with it. But here's my theory about what's going to happen in the second one. And this is pure theory, but I'm sure it's what's going to happen because nothing else makes sense.
Wow.
So who's still alive? It's the original Avengers. There's Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Natasha. Crap, why can I never remember her name? And I feel so bad as a woman that I never remember her name. What is Natasha's?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not allowed.
Oh, Widow or...
Is that Black Widow? Yeah. Okay. So she's there. Thor is still here. Don Cheadle, which is War Machine, he's still here. So it's the original Avengers that are still alive. Everyone else is dead. Did you probably didn't put that together?
I don't think about these things like you do.
Well, you got to, because when that ending happens, you got to go, well, what's going to happen now?
No,
right?
you don't. You just get pissed off and wait for the next one to come out.
So these original Avengers they're not getting any more movies. We know that. We know Tony Stark is done playing Iron Man. We know Chris Evans is done playing Captain America. So my theory is, but we know there's another Black Panther, there's another Spider-Man, there's another Doctor Strange, all that stuff. So
I think I see where you're going.
So
okay,
this is gonna be the original Avengers finest hour type thing. This is gonna be where they track down Thanos. Somehow they manipulate the stones to reverse time and bring everyone back. But in doing so, it's going to be their death. I don't know that all of them. I mean, Thor, I think he's done playing Thor too. So I think Cap, I think Thor, and I think Iron Man are definitely done. I think it's going to be a horribly gut-wrenching, very sad thing. But I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's as good a theory as any.
That's what I want it to be. So, well, at the end, so Fury, he calls Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So the Captain Marvel movie comes out before the second one, I believe. Now that one takes place in the 90s, and she's not from Earth. So we're assuming
she?
Yeah, it's Brie Larson.
Plays Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. You don't know anything.
I didn't know that. All right.
Okay. So, yeah, they're done filming. It's all done. So, I think in her movie, it'll be hard to understand if it can tie into Infinity War anywhere, just simply because it's set back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. But there's always those after credits that maybe, you know. So, she's also going to show up in the second part of Infinity War. So, somehow the call that he sent is going to bring her, and she's going to help with something too. So... Yeah, it's going to be...
So it probably starts in the 90s and then...
Well, her movie is.
But it'll probably... I bet you it ends with her getting that call.
That could be the post-credits scene.
Yeah, I'm calling it now.
And then, you know, I would hope Hawkeye and Ant-Man show up again in the second part. I believe they're in it, but don't quote me.
Is Hawkeye Jeremy Renner?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my theory. And I will be very happy with that. I want the Avengers to have their kind of noble, kick-ass thing. Oh, also, and the general from Wakanda, Denai Guerrera, she survived too. So hopefully she's going to kick some major ass in the second one too. Okay, so that was Avengers Infinity War.
All right, what's next?
Okay, so next I watched yesterday, a movie came out on Netflix called Like Father with Kristen Bell and
Kelsey Grammer.
Mm-hmm. And Seth Rogen's in there a little bit. But his wife directed this.
Seth Rogen's wife?
Yeah, Lauren Miller Rogen. So, and she wrote it too. And
cool.
If you haven't, so she was in a movie and she wrote a movie called For a Good Time Call. And it was, what's the other chick's name? I love this so much. If you can go and watch For a Good Time Call. It's totally worth it. It was so funny and sweet, and it was about these girls who start a sex line, hotline, whatever. Oh my God. It was really funny, but then it was also about friendship and about, different things.
Right.
Who was the other girl? Oh yeah, Ari Grainer. You'd know her if you saw her.
Okay.
So anyway, so she wrote and directed this movie. And so the basis is, in the beginning, Kristen Bell's getting married. She's a workaholic. She has her phone on her when she's standing at the altar, and the guy sees it and he says, nope, not doing this. And he walks away. At the same time, she notices that Kelsey Grammer's in the audience, or whatever you call it at a wedding.
A congregation?
I don't think it was a church. So is that still the same thing?
I don't think a congregation is necessarily a church. I think most often, but...
So just a group of people is I don't think
so.
The
group of people at the wedding.
Yeah. So he was in the audience.
I'm glad we nailed that down.
So anyway, so she takes off because she's just been jilted. And he kind of comes knocking and says, let me buy you a drink. And it turns out that he left her when she was 5 years old, and they haven't seen each other since.
Estranged.
Mm-hmm. To the nth degree. But anyway, they get so wasted that they wake up on the cruise that was supposed to be her honeymoon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So now they're stuck on the ship. They originally think when they first go to Jamaica, stop in Jamaica, they're going to take off and, get on a plane and go home. But stuff starts happening. So they start connecting. She's one of those, she's just on her phone the whole time, just work. He's trying to connect with her as much as possible. And so, they eventually stay on the cruise and things get better, basically.
Okay.
When you first start watching, you think this is going to be like that typical, like sugary, they're just going to love each other forever and everything's all great,
right.
But, and so I was kind of annoyed by that because I was like, if that's going to happen. But then he also keeps getting a phone call over and over again that he keeps ignoring. So then my mind went to, he's dying and he needs a kidney. And that's why he's come back to her, because he's not saying anything. And she really doesn't want to talk to him about much. But it turns into a much sweeter thing. Not like the sugary, like more light thing. I don't even know the word.
Very sweet, but about sugary?
It's more, yeah, but it's more of a touching.
Okay.
I mean, I was crying.
You cry about everything.
I know. There's a story involved with, he keeps talking about his best friend over and over again. And she's like, if you're gay, it's fine. You can tell me. And he's just like, no, not. He's just my business partner. But he keeps talking about him. So finally, at some point, he's ignoring that phone call, and she gets a call from her office, and it turns out that it's a debt collector calling about him and that he's bankrupt and he owes money or whatever. So she flies off the handle, and she's just like, this is why you found me, so I'd give you money. And he's just like, no, that's not it. And he starts to tell this whole story that this best friend of his died. He got early Alzheimer's, which makes sense. Lauren Miller Rogen and Seth Rogen put together that Hilarity for Charity for Alzheimer's. Yeah. So she wrote this. So he got early onset Alzheimer's, and so they started to lose their clients, and he didn't have anyone to take care of them. They were both people without kids, I guess. So he had his best friend come and live at his house, and he took care of him. He said, so I put all my money into taking care of him. And yeah, I'm losing my house. I'm losing everything, and it's okay. But he's been gone for 2 months, and I realized how lonely I am. He was the only family I had, and that's why I reached out to you. And she gets it. It's a lot about family, but also who you choose as your family. So like, at cruises, how they sit you with all these other people, and it's, your cruise table basically. So from the beginning, there are these great people. There's a gay couple, there's an old couple celebrating their 50th anniversary, and there's a couple that just got married for the second time. And they're all kind of involved, and they're like trying to help the two connect and trying to do all this stuff. And at the end of it, like, she shows up at Kelsey Grammer's house because he has to move out, and the gay couple is there helping him move. And, and so you think, because at first we were sad that Kristen Bell wasn't going with him right away. So, but then you think, but they made this other family too. Like now there's there are people in your life that don't have to necessarily be your father or your daughter or whatever it is. Like
Right.
you can
Right.
create your own family out of whoever it is. And Kelsey Grammer's family was his best friend, even though he should have been better to his daughter.
Well, yes.
But that's like at the end, I kind of kept thinking that like it's not. But before it happened, I was just like, well, you can't just forget everything. You can't forgive everything right off the bat, right? So
Right.
she had to go back to New York to do some work, and he was kind of sad that she wasn't going to come with him. And he shows up at the end. She shows up at the end, and is like, screw it, screw work. This is where I need to be. And they hug, and he says, I never stop loving you. And so they're just hugging, and he goes, you don't have to say you love me until you want or whatever. And she said, yeah, let's just start with me coming in the house, and I was like, that's perfect, because again, that sugary thing would have been, no, you're my father, I love you, but it's like, she has a lot of stuff to get over, so it was just kind of, it was just well done. It was
a deeper sweet.
It was
not fluffy sweet, deep sweet.
Exactly. It was very touching. It was loving. It was, it was worth it. And look, I've said this for most of my life. Every female has daddy issues one way or the other. You either love them too much or not enough, or they weren't there, or they were there too much, or, no matter what the issues are, you have them. So this movie will make sense to everyone and touch someone on some level, it for sure. I'm giving it 4 stars. I'm not sure it deserves all 4, but it was entertaining. And look, it's Kristen Bell and Kelsey Grammer. They're doing a good job.
Right.
You can't deny that. And they did film. So this is the one where they were filming on the cruise ship down in Florida, and the hurricane hit. Remember, and they evacuated to Disney World, and she like brought everyone into her.
Yeah, and she was tweeting about that.
Yeah, she was taking care of like the old people in the hotel that were evacuated and all that stuff.
Yep.
So they really filmed on this Royal Caribbean cruise ship, which was insane. Like, I've never seen a ship this huge and have so much stuff going on. It was really, like, at times I was like, that can't be real that exists on the ship. But it does.
Yeah.
So that was like Father on Netflix now. It's streaming. Check it out. It's worth it.
Okay. What else we got?
Okay, so then I'm going to move on to television. Orange is the New Black came back last week on Netflix. This is a 6th season, so I watched that over the weekend. And so I just want to touch on the show kind of in general, because it's a great show.
It's still a great show.
It's still a great show.
Okay.
So the 6th season started off a little slow for me, but so the point is, we follow this basically follows a book. Piper, I forget the real last name of Piper, but she was in prison for a year and she wrote a book about it. And so that's Taylor Schilling plays is Piper. And so we started out following her journey in a minimum security prison. It's called Litchfield Camp is basically what they called it. But once she was in there, there's like 25 cast members that we're introduced to. And over the seasons, we go in flashback scenes. We see their lives outside of prison.
Oh, okay.
And we see what got them there.
Okay.
So they're all in minimum security. So most of it is, stealing credit cards. It's stealing. Most of it's just like stealing little things like
petty
that,
thefts.
Right? Yeah, I mean, there are some people who did
misdemeanors,
more bad things to people, but but it's because it's all these women. You're just drawn to their stories because they're so familiar. It's not. No one's really doing anything just to do it. Usually it's because of their family, or usually it's because of the situation they just are in, or, a bad partner, or this or that. It's really
out of necessity.
Right. Except for Piper, really. I mean, her backstory was that she was with the chick from that 70s show. Gosh, my brain is not...
Laura Prepon.
Yes. So they were together, like, living in Europe or something, and she was a drug smuggler, trafficker in a big cartel or something, and Piper transported some drugs for her, like once when she was traveling or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They then had broken up. Like Piper was now engaged or married to, it was Jason Biggs who played him. And then Laura, who plays Alex was caught. And so everyone that ever helped her was going down. And that's kind of how the whole thing started. But then through behaviors and different things in prison, she was kind of getting time tacked onto her sentence. But anyway, my point is just it's a fantastic show because of all these women that are on here. And we see Black women, Latino women, and Asian woman was in there. We've seen, old women, young women. It's everything on the spectrum. All across the board.
Yep.
All kinds of women, all different stories. And what are they doing in there? Or then it's once you're in there, what happens, right? What happens between the races, what happens between the ages, the families that they make to protect each other, all of that. It's really it's wonderfully done, and everyone can tell that they've won 1 million awards. It's all good. The negative spot on the show is the guards, the prison guards. They're awful people. They're just awful people. And I wish my dad was in the prison system like the last 15 years of his career. I wish he watched it because I would love to know if they're that bad.
Yeah.
Because they're really just, between rape and beat and just mean and awful people, it's just horrible. But anyway, so at the end of the 4th season, one of the inmates, there was like an uprising type thing. It wasn't a big deal, but this young guard had taken down an inmate and he was like kneeling on her back and she suffocated to death. And it was his fault. He should have gotten off of her. It was stupid to even have her down. It was pointless. It was ridiculous. So the 5th season then was, the entire season was this riot that then the prisoners started because of that death. They were pissed off about these guards being horrible. They were pissed off that like they left the body there for a day and no one was doing anything with it. It was just like the prison system itself is portrayed as this very disorganized and really inhumane system, which it is.
I think it probably is.
Yeah,
right?
I have no arguments with it.
Right.
And this is a private prison as well, which also means it's worse. So the 5th season was fantastic because this riot that happened, Danielle Brooks plays Tasty, and it, in my opinion, it was her season and she did not get the recognition that she deserved, but her character was very like, here's what the problem is. Like she was constantly being logical about it and saying, here's why we're upset and trying to reach out to the heads of the prison and say, this is the problem that needs to be fixed. Whereas there were other groups that were just going crazy in the riot and, they had taken guards prisoner and they were doing bad things to the guards. And, there was all this other stuff going on, but the whole time Tasty just kind of kept it like, here's what's happening. And my friend was killed and, that sort of stuff. At the end of last season, then they stormed the prison and they got all the prisoners out, got the real inmates out and, the riot's done. Right?
Ended the riot.
Right. So this season, when it started, we're having the aftermath of that. So they had separated all the inmates. Some they all went to different prisons and all of that. But Litchfield also has a maximum security side. And the people that they felt were involved in the riot organization all went to this maximum security. So at first they were all segregated and in like solitary type things. So at first, the first few episodes, they weren't together. And that was hard for me because what I love is watching them all be together.
Right.
But then what happened too is they ended up taking them out of solitary and putting them in the separate blocks. So there's a B block, a C block, and a D block. And what happened was they were no longer in their original groups / families. So then now what was really cool was we were watching a new group come together of women that weren't together in the camp, but now in Maximum they're in the same block and the rest of their family members weren't. So they were having to then
adapt to a new one.
Yeah. Plus, we're introduced to even more characters because now they're in a new prison with new prisoners. So it turned out being a really great episode, except one of the guards was killed in the riot by the stormtroopers, the guys who were coming in to end the riot. It was friendly fire. A group of these inmates, basically the ones that were maximum, had found this hidden pool room that used to be part of the prison, but they had like shut it off. Well, these prisoners found it, and so they were kind of living in there for a while, like staying away from everything. Well, the stormtroopers that came in and broke it up, they didn't want to get caught for killing this guard, so they put him into that pool room, and they like shot him with a gun that was there so that they could frame it on the inmates. Well, they ended up framing it on Tasty.
Okay.
So the lawyers ended up, wanting to, they were just looking for anyone, to frame it on people and the riot and all of that. They just wanted to be able to put it on anyone's shoulders.
Well, that's easy to put it on an inmate.
Right. Well, Tasty's best friend, Cindy, was actually still in that pool room when the stormtroopers brought him in and shot him and talked about blaming it on someone else. So Tasty goes through her trial, all that sort of stuff, and Cindy never confesses. Yeah, it was really heartbreaking. It was really, because she was having a really horrible time with it. But she knew, one, she wouldn't be believed. No one would believe her over this entire group. So anyway, we go through the sentence, we go through the verdict. And, that little piece of me that loves television and fictional stuff, you're sitting there going, she's going to be found not guilty. And then the rest of me goes, but we're going to stay true. And we know, and she's black. So I'm like, they're going to blame the black girl for this horrible thing that wasn't at all her fault, know? And so, yeah, she's found guilty, and she now is guilty of a murder that she didn't do at all. So in the final episode, Piper gets out, a whole nother reason, but she gets out early. She's engaged and now prison married to Alex. They got back together after being in prison together. And so it's this horrible scene of Piper who gets to leave, but she's also leaving behind her wife and her friends in this place where she's very smart. She's like, I don't know how I'm going to do out there. But this is a chick who is like white privilege all the way. She was the one who did yoga and had all this money and Connecticut type woman, right? So prison was not her thing, but she ended up kind of figuring it out in a way. But it also points out that because she is that white privilege, that's why everything always kind of worked out for her in prison. You know, it's a very different story for her than it is for everyone else, especially Tasty. So as Piper is leaving prison, Tasty is being brought back, now having to serve out this murder conviction. And next season, we'll see what that really does to her and how that changes things. And how is it going to change Cindy? Because Cindy had to testify. Now, Cindy has not told Tasty that she knows anything. She's keeping it all to herself. So there's that. And then also when they were leaving, so they were letting out like 25 inmates. And they're leaving, and they started to separate them into two lines. And you start to notice that like there's all these white and black people in one line, and there's all the Latino people on the other line. And at the same time, they're flashing between the company that owns this prison, and they're holding like the special banquet thing. And they announce how they're going to start now holding immigration detention center type things. Oh, man. And so this one chick, Blanca, who this season was trying to get pregnant, and she was worried about her life outside. And, after the riot, like they were all like examining their lives after that whole thing. And so Blanca finds out she's getting out. And so her and Piper are kind of coming down side by side. And then they realize she's going in a different place. Oh, and she walks out, and there's the freaking ice bus that she has to get on. And she just starts sobbing. And it was just the worst. I mean, it was just this show, that's what's so good about this show, is that there's nothing you can't relate to. And while I can't relate to being scared of ice, I understand people being scared of ice, period, because I'm a human being.
Yeah, we're very capable of empathy for that sort of thing, even though we don't know it specifically.
Exactly. So here, here's this woman who thought she was getting free, and on the other side of the prison is her husband or boyfriend, whatever. He's sitting there waiting with flowers. Like, they didn't tell anyone this is what's happening.
Right.
And off she goes. And so then, I hope we get to watch her next season and see what that whole journey is about as well. So it's just a great show. I know I'm talking about it too much probably and telling too much, but this season was really good. So if you do start it and it feels a little weird in the beginning, like I said, it does, because they're kind of separated and you're not sure what's going on. You have to keep track of everyone. But it ends up being it's very entertaining even though this sounds really heavy. Yeah, but I would never classify it as a comedy. It's always in the comedy category. That always makes me angry.
Yeah, I never understood that.
I've never understood it. But it is an entertaining show. I don't know if I would say that's because of the comedy. It just draws you in because the storytelling is amazing. And all these women, I now see so many of them on other shows, and it makes me so happy because these are women who never would have worked before. These are women at all different sizes and ages and colors. And because of this show and them being such, they're just all so talented. Now I see them on all these other shows and it makes me so happy.
Good.
So, and that's Genji Cohen who runs the show. She also did Weeds. So, it's all because of her choosing these women. So that's a great show. Orange is the New Black.
Good deal. Thank you for telling me that story.
You're welcome. The next thing I just want to talk on is The Sinner. I just want people to go watch it. So if you didn't see the first season of The Sinner was one of the best seasons of television I've ever watched.
What?
Yeah, it was so good. The story was one of the most compelling stories ever on television. So The Sinner is working in a way where it's a different story each season. The first season is on Netflix. Go watch it. It's Bill Pullman and Jessica Biel. Jessica Biel in a role that was the best I've ever seen her do. It was amazing. So go watch that on Netflix, the first season. The second season just started last week. It looks like it's going to be an interesting story. So Bill Pullman is still there. He's playing the same person, but now there's a different murder mystery that they have to solve involving a kid, and he poisoned these people that we think is his parents, but I don't think they're his parents. Anyway, it looks to be another great mystery. I don't know yet, but if you enjoyed the first season, definitely check out the second. And that's all I want to say about that. When the season's over, I will touch back in and say, yeah, that was a great story, or no, that made me angry. We will see. Okay, so that's everything that I have for this week. John, do you have anything that you want to talk about?
I do. Just one little thing real quick.
Nope, at a time.
Oh, darn. Wah, wah. No, so there's a trailer for a new horror movie.
I can't believe you're bringing this up.
Oh, I have to. It's
okay. Well, okay, go ahead.
Well, I don't even remember what the name of it is.
Yeah. So so when I went to the movies to see The Spy Who Dumped Me, we had talked about last week, the trailers and stuff, and I tried to get there later yesterday, and I ended up there before the trailers even started. So I had seen all the trailers except for this one, and there was no reason I hadn't watched it. But anyway, so the trailer for the movie The Nun.
The Nun.
So,
yeah.
Oh, what's her face? Vera Farmiga's sister. That's the girl in it. I can't remember her name. Anyway,
doesn't matter.
So she's in it, but so I'm watching it and I'm just like, yeah, I know it's a scary movie, and I'm just kind of like, whatever. And there's a moment in it where I did jump, and then I started laughing. I'm by myself, and I just started laughing, and I hear these people behind me, and I hear this guy going, "Are you all right? Are you okay?" And I'm just laughing. So John hates scary movies. Hates. He won't watch anything scary.
Nope.
But I got home and I was like, the loving wife that I am. I was like, but I told him, I said, I told him the whole story. I jumped and the laughing and all that. And I said, you got to watch this and pay attention and don't look away. And I wish I had been filming it. Because his reaction was more than I ever could have wanted. I mean, his legs went flying. I think
jumped.
You screamed a bit.
No, I don't think I screamed.
There was an audible response.
I think I said something like, "Oh," but so I momentarily lost control of my legs.
Yes, his legs went flying.
I was like a cartoon character, like place running for just about a half a second.
Yes.
So just go watch the trailer for this.
Yes, I'll put a link into it too.
There's a moment. I don't care how many of these things you've seen.
Right.
I don't care how prepared you are.
Right.
You're not going to be ready for it. and you're going to laugh afterward, but
Yes.
it's jolting. It's jarring.
It's perfect.
It's awesome. And I hate these things, but that was so
Yeah.
Just that trailer was so well done.
I'm not sure that the movie can live up to that.
Oh, not a chance I see it. That's enough for me. I mean, can you imagine
There's
my
no
legs
way
sitting?
they showed their best moment.
Hey,
for
can
the
you
trailer.
imagine my legs sitting through the whole thing? No, not a chance. Nope.
Okay, well, thanks for bringing
Yeah,
that up. I'm glad.
I had to.
Yeah. We're still figuring out next week because John may have to
Yeah,
work.
I'm
So
gonna
we'll
have
see
to
if
work.
I'm going to have a guest on or what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But for the most part, well, I'm my favorite. I can't say it's my favorite, but everyone knows my favorite movie is Jaws. So when there is a shark movie, no matter how good Deep Blue Sea or how bad Open Water that they might be, I
Yeah.
have to go see it.
Yeah. So,
Like that last horrible one,
Sure.
the Mandy Moore, the 47 meters down. Oh, that
Yeah.
was such a waste of my time. But on the other hand, there was the Blake Lively one.
The Shallows.
Yes, love that movie.
Yeah. So it looks like Jaws went off and got some steroids.
Well, no, it's just back to the Megalodon.
Yeah.
So, you know. So I am so psyched. Already have my tickets. So that will definitely be on next week's. And we'll see. I can't wait. Love sharks.
Yeah, I'm cringing about watching that one about 6 months from now when it comes out.
I won't make you if I know you won't like
Well,
it.
I finally did watch Jaws.
Yeah.
And
finally.
I like that.
Yeah.
But that's like,
That's like real shark
that's
stuff.
believable.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. This one's not at all.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I'm sure you'll like it.
Well,
and,
we'll
and
see.
You'll convince me to watch
There are
it.
some I like and some I don't like.
Yeah, you'll convince me to watch it, and then I'll be pissed off because I watched it.
Please. There's
Yeah.
only been 3 movies that you haven't liked that I made you watch.
3?
I don't know. Open
There's
Water.
only one that I can think of, really. Open Water.
Open Water.
Worst movie ever
No,
made.
there's that Hide and Seek, which I agree was also bad.
Oh yeah, but that's so much better than Open Water.
That's
though.
okay. You made me go to that. What was that? L.A., Los Angeles one.
Oh,
with-
Battle LA.
Ugh.
I thought it was gonna be better.
Let him choose the movie once, and look what happens.
This is why I don't choose movies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's no good for anybody.
No, it is not.
No.
Okay, so that's everything. Same thing. So I do have a request from my uncle to talk about some Gregory Peck movies. So I got to get John to
Sorry.
watch some. And but again, if anyone has any requests that you want us to talk about, or if you want to be on the
Yep.
podcast yourself, please go to our website, watchingmystories.com, and either reach out to us through that, or Facebook, or Twitter, or Instagram. We are on all platforms. Yeah, so that's everything. Please reach out to us. We want to hear from you. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Rate it. Give us a review. That would be greatly appreciated.
And comments.
Comments.
We're starting to get comments now. Those are great.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yes, we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
For sure. So that's it. Until next time, I will be watching my stories.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great week. Bye.
Hi, I'm Mike from the Genuine Chit Chat podcast, where we have honest conversations with interesting people. I speak to a wide variety of guests, from travellers to musicians to those afflicted with mental or physical illnesses. There's really no subject that's off limits, from movies to politics and even controversial topics ranging from sex to drug reform and political correctness. So if you still believe in the art of conversation, are intrigued by healthy debates with different ideas and perspectives you may not have thought of, and want a podcast where every episode is about something different with a variety of guests, then this may be the podcast for you. You can hear us on YouTube and all your favourite podcast apps, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to hang out and listen to honest conversations with interesting people, then come to Genuine Chit Chat, where I'm your host, Mike Burton.